This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What started out as a pitcher's duel ended with the New York Mets scoring in each of the last 4 innings, fueling a series win off of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season, and today was a fun one. The Mets pick up their first series win since their sweep of the Philadelphia Phillies, and they very importantly split this season series with the Diamondbacks by winning this game. And I know it's early, I know it's May, but these things are important if potential tiebreakers come into play down the road in the National League wild card. Losing this game today, losing this series, losing the season series to the Diamondbacks would have given them that tiebreaker in their back pocket. They will not have that after the Mets picked up this win today. But the story of this one, the pitcher's duel that it was at the beginning, and the Mets offense finding themselves at the end.
This is what you'll be talking about.
It was a pitcher's duel for Kodai Senga, albeit not one like you expect. When you talk about a pitcher's duel and you talk about a bunch of zeros getting thrown up, I'm not sure you expect it to look the way that it did for Kodai Senga today. Worked out of trouble in the first inning, got some good defensive help. Worked out of trouble in the second inning because of some defensive help, and then worked out of trouble in the third inning after he walked the first 2 batters. I mean, he had, what was the final number? I stopped counting after 5. Did he get to 6 in this one? Let me check. No, it was only 5 walks. It was a career high for Kodai Senga, but at the end of the day, the only stat that matters is in the earned run column or in the run column. It was a 0 for Kodai Senga, and it was a 0 because he found his groove in those last couple of innings, but it was also a 0 because of the Mets defense. And it was less than 24 hours ago. It was a little Mets After Dark. It was a Mets Postcast After Dark where we talked about the sloppiness from the Mets. Mark Vientos allowing a ball to go through the wickets. Brandon Nimmo getting his knee stuck in the turf a little bit, getting his cleat stuck in the turf, misplaying a ball in left field. Tyrone Taylor weirdly playing a ball off of a bounce. Alvarez with a pass ball. That was all the defensive miscues last night. Today, more of a defensive clinic for the New York Mets. I'm going to try to make sure I get to them all, but these were the defensive plays that the Mets came through with in this game today. How about in the first inning, throwing out Corbin Carroll, trying to steal the base? And the Mets just continue to be excellent at this. This was a real sore spot at the beginning of the 2024 season, and you felt like teams were just going to run all over the New York Mets, that they just didn't have the tools to hold runners on, and so a walk or a single then turned into a double with a runner in scoring position because they couldn't hold runners on. Since that first couple of weeks of the season last year, this has turned into a strength. Not just a neutral thing for this team. It is a strength of this team, their ability to throw runners out on the base pass. And they did it again with Corbin Carroll in the first inning. In the second inning, how about a relay, McNeil to Lindor to Torrens at the plate to throw out Eugenio Suarez to stop the Diamondbacks from getting on the board. And then the third inning, a pair of good defensive plays. How about Luis Torrens throwing out the lead runner on a sacrifice bunt, getting the runner at third, and then they get the double play ball after that to get out of the inning. And then a pair in the sixth inning, while the game was more in Mets control, but Alonso makes a diving stop after the ball hits the bag to stop Corbin Carroll, who's super speedy, from getting to second base, if not to third base, if that ball gets by him. And then Beatty makes a really tough kind of over-the-shoulder catch to end the sixth when Senga hit a little bit of trouble. It was just a defensive display all across the board. Not the first defensive display we've seen the Mets have against this team, but really nice to see them respond the way that they did today defensively. And you can point in each of the first 3 innings of this game where Senga hit trouble, that he got the defense to bail him out of that jam. And I see Ray in the chat saying Senga spectating on Pete's great grab. Yeah, that's the only real issue with that play is Senga's got to cover that base. Now, it didn't come back to haunt them, and I'm sure that'll be a point of emphasis after the game. But across the board, you had great defense for this team, and I'm not surprised. Last night definitely felt like a bit of an outlier in that regard, so it was nice to see them respond. We mentioned that it was a pitcher's duel early. It did not stay a pitcher's duel, and it did not stay a pitcher's duel because of one man in particular, and I know that many of you are excited to see the way that that man hit home runs today. So we will talk about Juan Soto. We will talk about the rest of this Mets offense, and I'm going to advocate for a major change to the Mets as a team. We will get to all of that here on the other side. Are you looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. No Shell's Wonderful Pistachios for a grab-and-go ease. How about that satisfying crack of opening each shell? It's like snack meditation. Whether you are running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. They've got an easy-to-use website that is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, they've got a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. You need help with an order? Well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. You're always going to talk to a real person. And for those trade pros out there looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Back here on the Mets postcast after the Mets get the series win in the desert off of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they did so off of the bat of Juan Soto. How about this? How about a 2-home-run day? He has 7 home runs this season. 4 of them have come against this team. He had a multi-home run game last week off of this team. He had another one here today. Definitely feels like he's seeing the ball better. Definitely feels like he is starting to break out in a big way. The 2 home runs today, the go-ahead home run in the 6th inning to break open the scoring was a ball that was crushed. You knew it the moment he let go of the bat based on his reaction that ball got out, and he crushed that one to the deepest part of the ballpark there in Chase Field. And then he added some insurance in the 8th inning with his 7th home run of the season, this one opposite field. So the 2 home runs didn't pull either one of them, one to deep center field, and then the other an opposite field shot. And to me, that is a really good sign for Juan. He obviously has the power to be able to pull the ball, but to me, he always seems to be more comfortable up there when he's taking the ball the other way. He's able to drive the ball to center field, drive the ball into both the left center field and right center field gaps instead of being a directly pull hitter. And so that was really good to see where both of his 2 home runs came. And it was nice to see the Mets having a win fueled in large part due to the day that Juan Soto had. And it was a day across the board for the Mets offensively in the later innings. Terrence in the 7th had a leadoff double. Brett Beatty with a really nice at-bat, a ground out that is able to move him over to third. And then Luis Acuna drives in what you thought would be the insurance run at that point to make it 2-0. And then Acuna steals a base. McNeil hits a triple, although let's keep an eye because he did leave the game after that, and he did not look comfortable rounding second base and getting into third, and they did pull him from the game. So we'll see what Carlos Mendoza says after this game about Jeff McNeil and his status moving forward. And that was a hit that gave the Mets a 3-0 lead. Soto hits the home run to make it 4-0 in the 8th. And then they add some insurance there in the 9th to finish off the Diamondbacks 7-1. And yeah, this is what I want to talk about. I see some people talking about it in the chat, but I certainly am getting to this place myself. In the last 6 games for the New York Mets, their last 6 lineups, there have been 4 guys who have been in every single one of those last 6 lineups. It has been Francisco Lindor every day at shortstop. It has been Juan Soto every day at right field, except for one in which he DH'd. It's Pete Alonso every day at first base. Brandon Nimmo has gone back and forth between DHing and left field. He DH'd today. A real quick sidebar. Really liked the way Carlos put together the lineup today after some questions yesterday about Marte being the DH and hitting fourth, and just felt weirdness about the way that lineup was put together. This felt more in line with the best foot forward for the New York Mets. Nimmo, clearly the knee's okay, but you want to give him a day off from the field. And so you have him DH, an opportunity to get Beatty in there at third base, and you get Acuna into the lineup as well. So I think Carlos in the finale of this series really deployed his team in a really good way. So that was encouraging after the questions we had last night. And I know I wasn't alone. I know Ryan did the show this morning about why Marte was hitting in the DH spot and why he was hitting fourth specifically on the morning edition of the podcast. And we talked about it last night on the postcast. But those 4 guys, Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and Nimmo, have been mainstays every single day in the last 6. Everybody else kind of moves in and out. I think it is time for the New York Mets to add a 5th person to that list. I think there is a player that is playing well enough, playing more than well enough to be an everyday player for this baseball team. And I was going to say this before the questions about Jeff McNeil and the injury that he may have sustained rounding second base on his triple. It is well past time for Luis Angel Acuna to be an everyday player for the New York Mets. He is hitting, I can refresh the page, but he was hitting 299 during this game after he picked up a couple of hits. He is hitting 295 for the season. He is 26 for 98, but 295 with a 357 on base percentage, a 109 WRC plus, and he's stolen 9 bases. The defense that he provides, the speed that he provides, and he has been nearly a 300 hitter. It is well past time for the Mets to make Acuna an everyday player. And I know the weirdness that creates for Carlos and what he has to do with Jeff McNeil, but he did have the triple in this game, but Jeff has not hit very well since returning to this team off of the injured list. I'm sorry, at some point the merits have to take over here, and Luis Angel Acuna right now is the better player for New York. He's putting up better at bats. He provides more to the team on an everyday basis with the speed, with the defense. I mean, you saw it all in today's game. He checked every box. It's just free and easy with him at the plate. He's going to take his hacks, but he's not trying to crush the ball. His RBI hit in this game was just a single right back up the middle, right back up the box. He played great defense, made a couple of nice plays, and he also provides that stolen base threat that really nobody else gives this team consistently enough. And so I'm sorry, I think it's time to make a major change. And with Nimmo kind of banged up, with no Winker right now for this team, there are other ways for Carlos and the Mets to get Jeff McNeil in this lineup on a regular basis. But for me, if I'm making up the lineup card every day, there are now 5 players that are guaranteed. As long as it's not a scheduled off day that we want to get them, there are 5 players that are non-negotiables for me. They have to be in the starting lineup. It's Francisco Lindor, it's Juan Soto, it's Pete Alonso, it's Brandon Nimmo, and it is now Luis Angel Acuna. I think you're doing the team a massive disservice not having that skill set that he provides in the lineup every single day, because it feels like every time he has a couple days off, he comes back into the lineup, he does something really awesome, and we go, hey, yeah, Luis Angel Acuna is a good player. Why isn't he in there more? We're past that point. He needs to be in there every day, and he's earned it. It's not just because of the underperformance of Jeff McNeil. It's not because of the injuries. Legitimately, this is because Luis Angel Acuna right now is one of the Mets' best 9 hitters, and he needs to be in there every day. You want to mitigate against some of the injuries that have piled up for this team. You want to mitigate against some of the streakiness that this team has had lately offensively. Why not put in a guy who so far this season is hitting nearly 300? And if he draws walks, if he gets on base with singles, you know he's going to turn that into a double and be standing on second base. And by the way, him getting on first and then stealing second base, he's able to score on the ball that McNeil puts into the gap, although he might have scored on it anyway, even if he was at first. But all because of the extra stuff that he provides, the speed and the defense that you look up and down this roster right now, they just don't have consistently enough. So, yeah, he's just been playing great, And every time he gets back into the lineup, you're reminded of why he should be in there more. And so that's how I wanted to close the show today, because he's just been awesome. And he needs to join those other 4 guys as the everyday players for this team, because they rotate who's DHing right now with Winker gone. They rotate the catcher between Alvarez and Torrens. Torrens had a great day today. Tyrone Taylor, the center field, they rotate through. And that's how you can get McNeil involved. But to me, the best defender at second base right now is Luis Angel Acuna. The best offensive player to play at second base right now is Luis Angel Acuna. I mean, he is just right now their best second baseman, and I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. And I see Daniel talking about Vientos, the sophomore Blues. Give it time. And I know he is struggling, and he got the day off today. It was an opportunity to get Beatty into the lineup, and Beatty had a productive out in this game, made a nice defensive play as well. So good to see him contribute, even if it doesn't necessarily totally show up on the box score. And yes, I saw somebody talk about Stanek pitching well in the non-pressure situations. It is good to see him continue to stack these performances up. I did make note after the lead that he blew against the Diamondbacks that it did feel like time to move him to a lower leverage spot and allow him to gain his confidence back up, and then move him back into some high leverage situations down the road. And you're starting to feel like the Mets could consider doing that with this streak that he's been on of putting together some really nice performances. It's an off day for the New York Mets. They'll travel back home tonight. It'll be an off day tomorrow. We will be back here once again with the Mets postcast after the opener of this series with the Chicago Cubs. But the Mets, after losing last night, some sloppiness, feeling really bad about things, after last night, losers of 5 of their last 7, things had kind of felt weird for this team. They'd felt like it was just sloppy and sluggish and just kind of off-kiltered a little bit. It was really good to see the Mets hang in here with a pitcher's duel, because Merrill Kelly was dealing on the other side as well. And the defense showed up for Kodai Senga to keep this a close game. And then the Mets, they came through in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, finishing off this game, scoring in each of the last 4 innings. And the big news, Juan Soto with another multi-home run game. He's up to now 7 home runs for the season. I'm noticing over here in the live chat, not a lot of slander about Juan Soto today. I do find that interesting. Yesterday we were talking about Juan Soto. Today, not so much crickets about Juan Soto and his underperformance so far this season. I kid. I'm just having fun here on the Mets postcast. But we're back again after the Mets take on the Cubs in the opener of this series. We'll break down everything from that game. Enjoy it, Mets fans. The Mets pick up a series win. It's been a while since we've had one of those. And like I said at the top, a very important series split. I know it's May. I know we're not thinking about this. I know we see where the Mets are in the standings right now, holding on to first place. But when it comes down to it, if the Mets are in a wild card race and they're tied with the Diamondbacks, and by the way, it's not like we didn't see this script last year. The Mets did not give away the tiebreaker to the Diamondbacks for losing the head-to-head series. It'll now have to go to another tiebreaker if that situation were to arise. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but it is nice to not have that working against you late in the season. The Mets offense comes alive late. Kodai Senga throws 6 scoreless innings, 6 weird scoreless innings, and the Mets pick up their first series win since sweeping the Phillies a couple of weeks ago. That's going to do it for us. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you after the Mets take on the Cubs. See ya.